and Genova others. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So página 277, página 277. This book is really good about trying to include cultural things and things of such nature. Um, Looking at the little blue box on the right-hand side there, it says cultura. Oh, go ahead. Excuse me, sorry. Addie, and read the first paragraph for us. Turn him. You there, Addie? Addie! No? Okay. I was like, well, maybe she forgot to turn on her mic. Okay. So, this might be a little problematic because we're going to do a lot of reading today. Okay. Jared? Okay. Is that what you're saying? Me, pick me?
No, I was just tapping that.
Okay, go for it.
Shakira es una cantante colombiana de ascendencia libanesa. Sus canciones, I butchered that, en español y también en inglés tienen mucho éxito.
Éxito.
Éxito. Shakira, Shakira es también compositora, instrumentista y bailadora.
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 Okay, Sydney, we're on page 277. Go ahead and stop there. Okay. So Shakira es una cantante colombiana de ascendencia libanesa. So what do we know? What do we know about Shakira from this first paragraph? Addie, you can just type in since we can't hear you. You can just go ahead and type in answers to the questions on the little chat bar there.
She speaks Spanish and English.
Okay, so her songs
sings in it, yeah.
So we would assume maybe since her songs are in Spanish and English. What do we know about her background? What's her descendancy? What's her nationality?
She's from Colombia, I think it says.
Uh-huh. She's a Colombian singer hailing from what country? Libanesa? What's Libanesa? What country would that be?
No clue.
Lebanese.
What?
Lebanese. So is that Lebanon? Let's see, Lebanese. So remember I told you SH isn't a traditional Spanish sound. So her name has more. I don't know if that's her given name. What else do we know about her? From the rest of the paragraph.
I don't know. What does bailadora mean?
Dancer, bailar.
Oh, she dances.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm assuming it says she plays instruments and dances at the very end. On the first part.
Yeah, she is also a compositor. Composition. She makes composition. She's a writer. Mm-hmm. A writer, instrumentist. Yeah, we don't have that word, right? And bailadora, dancer. Okay. Go ahead and Sydney, go ahead and read the second paragraph about Shakira.
Where are we?
277. We're in the little blue box on the right-hand side of the page.
Oh, okay. Además de ser una figura famosa, es una persona caritativa. estableció varias escuelas especiales para niños pobres en el norte de Colombia.
Okay. En Colombia. ¿Dónde está Colombia? ¿Dónde está Colombia?
South America?
South America? Where in South America?
No. I don't know.
It's at the top. Okay. So Panama, where's Panama?
Central America.
Central America. So it's the last country in that little strip of land that connects Mexico and South America, right? So Colombia is where Panama connects into South America. Okay, so that's the country that is actually would connect into if it were not divided by water, by the canal. Okay, so Colombia is actually the first country after Panama coming off Central America. Okay, so it's at the top. It's at the north and to the east. Okay, so caritative in caritative in English. What is caritative? Do you even know what that word is? So it says, además de ser una figura famosa, in addition to being a famous figure, a famous person, es una persona caritativa. Caritativa. So in English, it's caritative. And I honestly was not familiar with this word in English. So caritative, it's charitable in nature or tendency for the principles of Christianity, right? To love one another, help each other out, serve each other, that kind of thing. Okay, so she's charitable. It's another way of saying charitable, but more than just charitable, because there's a lot of people that are charitable just because it's the right thing to do. But hers is more in a because of her Christian background, her Christian history. So what did she establish? Estableció. She established special schools for niños pobres. ¿Qué son niños pobres?
Poor children.
Poor children in the north of Colombia. So she's giving back to her. So you conocen a Shakira? Do you guys know Shakira?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, is she still on the scene somewhere? Is she still currently producing popular stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know everything, but yeah, there's still some stuff.
Okay. So Lebanon, so she's Lebanese. Where's Lebanon?
No clue. I've never even heard of it until today.
Well, Lebanon is a somewhat unstable country. It's in the Middle East, okay? So it's near Palestine. It actually borders Syria. And Syria is in the Middle East. So that Arabian Peninsula right there, you have Saudi Arabia, you have all this tiny little all the tiny little countries of Palestine, Israel, Syria. You have Lebanon in there too. That's actually where my daughter's going to go do some missionary work or work with the missionaries there. So at first I was a little nervous with it. But it's a Christian country, so that makes me feel a little bit better. So it's not like she's going to be persecuted because she's a Christian, but it was a big thing. There was a big dragging through the streets of some of our U.S. Soldiers back in the 80s. So when she said Lebanon and their capital city of Beirut. I mean, Beirut is where they dragged they bombed us there, and then they dragged some of our soldiers through the street and paraded them and killed them and whatever. I don't know if there was beheadings and stuff, but it was really ugly. So, anytime someone says Lebanon or Beirut, my generation says, oh, no way, not on your life. But the missionaries there, I talked with them and I met them and stuff. So they said, you're okay as long as you don't cause any kind of big stink. They're okay with Americans. So that's muy interesting. So she's Lebanese. She's from Lebanon. So a small, tiny little country. So she's not native Spanish speaker. I mean, she probably is because she was born in Colombia. So I mean, she speaks it natively, but that's not her family's native tongue. Okay, so I just wanted to add that in there. Just they throw that in there. Okay, so and página 280. Tell me if we read that or not. I know we did in my other class, but I'm not sure if we did it with you guys. 280.
Yeah, I think we read this.
Okay.
I think we read it last week.
Okay, good. Then we'll skip over to the next one. So 282. 200.
282.
Sí.
Okay.
Okay. So again, this chapter has been arte. We've learned a lot about arte, or we've covered a lot of things, or as Jared so pointed out, stuff called art, not necessarily. Okay, so un día de cultura latina. So remember, Latina includes most all of South America, Central America, a lot of the Caribbean islands, right? Because Latino just means Latin based, right? And so Portuguese is Latin based and French is Latin based. Okay, Spanish is Latin based. So Latina is all encompassing. Hispanic, on the other hand, is what?
Honestly, I always thought they were just the same thing.
Yeah, so slightly different. Latina, I mean, is mostly white. I mean, it's most widely referred to, as Spanish-speaking peoples, but it also includes the Brazilians and the Guyanans and the Surinamians, because it includes French and because it's Latin-based, anything Latin-based. So I could call a Brazilian a Latina or Latino because it's a Latin-based language. Whereas if I say Hispano, that is very much non-inclusive of the Brazilians and the French, because they don't speak Spanish. Hispanic means of Spanish descendancy of some kind. Yeah. So so Latina, cultura Latina, it could be any South American or Central American or Caribbean country. Okay, so we'll go ahead and read. Jared, go ahead and read the first paragraph.
Which one?
Oh, where it says ayer.
Sí.
Ayer pasaste un día de cultura latina. Viste una exposición.
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 Oh, exposición.
There you go.
De arte hispano. Comiste en una churrasquería. Churrasquería. Un restaurante argentino donde comiste el famoso. Yes. How do you say that? Buffet?
Bife.
Buffet argentino. Luego. Luego oíste un concierto de música latina.
Okay, de música latina. Okay, so what and what person is this written in? What person? First person, second person?
I think it's third person.
It's actually second because it's saying you.
Oh.
You, right? Isn't that second person? You?
I don't remember. I've never learned about second person, really.
Yeah, it's you, like when I'm talking to you, the second person. Third person is talking about someone who's not present. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, so this is saying almost as if you did this, right? Yesterday you spent you passed a day, or you spent a day in Latin cultural. What would be a word? We just use Latino here in California. What I would probably say Hispanic, if I were to translate into an English word. But Latino, we all know Latino. When we say Latino, I mean, that's part of our vocabulary as well. We don't have our own separate word for it. Okay. You saw an art exposition, a Hispanic art exposition. You ate in a churrasqueria. Anybody ever eaten in a churrasqueria? Usually, the one I ate in uh, was Brazilian. I ate one in San Diego, and then there's one in Roseville, and they're very expensive. And you go in and they walk around with the beef or the lamb or the pork on the big poles, and they cut it off for you as they come to your. Anybody ever eaten at one of those kind of restaurants?
No, it sounds good though.
It is. I mean, if you're a big meat person, and they'll come around like with some shrimp on it, or they'll come around with steaks wrapped in bacon and just plop one on your. So they're always walking around, and you just put your hand up, or you put out their little card they have, and they'll come give you more meat. And then they have all kinds of a lot of natives, Brazilian salads. And so here, the Argentinians are really well known for their beef. That's why they have el bife argentino. El bife argentino. Okay, so you went to that special restaurant, spent a lot of money, ate a lot of food, and then later you listened to a concert of Latino music, or Latin music. Okay, Sydney. Arte.
Okay, the whole thing.
Yes, ma'am. You got this.
Okay. En el museo visité un cuadro del famoso
Famoso.
muralista. What?
Muda. I said famoso. Just O says O, so famoso.
Oh, okay. Muralista mexicano José Clemente Orozco.
Orozco.
Yes, tiene un motivo político emocionante.
Emocionante.
Emiliano Zapata fue un líder
Líder.
líder
It's like a verb. Líder.
revolucionario. Durante la Revolución Mexicana, los zapatistas lucharon con Zapata contra las
Injusticias
del gobierno. En el cuadro ves como los
peones
que marcharon van a pie de una manera pesada un laboriosa. Puedes ver la inclinación de los cuerpos. Tiene parece que los peones participan en una marcha determinada para derrocar a su opresor.
A sus opresores. Okay, so Zapata. So it's talking about this painting on the right hand page. Okay, on page 283. So that whole paragraph is really pointing to this painting. Okay, so what do you see in this painting? I mean, between what you understood in the paragraph and what you see in this painting, what do you what is this? What impression does this painting give you? Who are those people riding on the horses? Son los opresores, the oppressors. Okay.
Oh, okay.
They're the taskmasters. They're the ones that are oppressing these poor people. So peones, the peasants, right? The poor people, taking advantage of them. And a lot of times the poor people were the indigenous peoples. Remember, indigenous is the native peoples of a land. Okay. So many indigenous poor people in Mexico were oppressed by landowners or rogue government officials, or there wasn't any labor unions. There weren't any organized government bodies to protect these labor workers. These people suffered under this because they didn't have education. They didn't have the means to better themselves. So they worked the land, much like here in the United States, right? Except for at this time where Zapata is leading a revolution. This started, again, it started in the early 1900s, but some of their biggest works were on into the 90s, as recent as the 90s, where they have uprisings, because most of it, he's kind of like what Cesar Chavez did here in the United States. What did Cesar Chavez do here in California? That famous guy.
I know who you're talking about, but I didn't really know exactly what he did.
He fought for the rights of the farm workers here. Because most of them were Mexican, were here illegally. People treated them however they wanted to. Okay. So Cesar Chavez was the one that got them recognized and their rights recognized. And it was a fight. It was a battle. He formed the United Farm Workers. And so he got them better rights, better working conditions. So that's what Zapata, or people would say Cepeda here in the United States. But he was so it was land reform, was his big thing. He wanted land reform, people taking, it was a bad government. And so he was, they were mainly poor peasants. Him and his group were poor peasants who wished to spend much of their time on their land to produce income. So they were just being cheated. The poor people were being cheated, much like we did to the Mexicans when we bought California and all these Western states. Okay, so Cepeda, so this is the oppression. So this is Orozco, el muralista. So he's a muralist. Okay, what's a muralist? Someone who paints. Not a tagger, right? Muralist is not a tagger, but it's someone who paints big, and they're usually culturally driven murals. So he's a famous muralist, and this is one of his big famous works, paintings, was representing Cepeda in this struggle. It's a big part of the Mexican history. Okay. So, and then the last paragraph, go ahead, Javier, and read it for us.
Durante el concierto oíste varios tipos de música latina. Un conjunto de los Andes tocó la flauta y zampoña, instrumentos populares entre los indígenas andinos, un grupo guatemalteco toco
Guatemalteco. Guatemalteco.
guatemalteco marimbas in Guatemala. Wait, would it be Guatemala or would I say
Guatemala.
Guatemala?
The U makes it say it's hard sound.
Guatemala, las orquestas de marimbas van de un pueblo a otro para tocar durante las fiestas locales.
Okay. So talking about a few instruments here. So culturally, I mean, a lot of you might have seen them if you've ever attended different cultural, like I went to a baseball game last night, and I mean, it wasn't Hispanic, but it was Korean, and it was really, really cool. It was a really cool Korean group of traditional dancers in traditional clothing. And okay. So these are, so look at what they're playing down there. Un grupo de jóvenes tocan zampoñas y flautas. What's a flauta? What does it sound like?
Flute?
Flute, yeah. So this guy on the picture on the left, he's on the far right of the picture. He's playing the flute. And then the second guy over is playing the flute. And the two that the other playing, those are zampoñas. Zampoñas. Have you in San Francisco? A lot of times they have someone playing the zampoña. They'll have some backup music playing somewhere, and then they'll play their zampoñas. A lot of times they'll have them play them in groups, but they're playing their zampoñas and flautas. And so then, looking at the next picture, un grupo de músicas tocan marimbas en Antigua Guatemala. Okay, Antigua Guatemala. So what are marimbas?
No clue. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, let me see if it'll let me put this picture in there. Yeah, it won't let me put pictures in the chat bar. Yeah, so it's the not the drums. La bateria is drums. La bateria, but those things that they're back there playing, it's kind of like the xylophone, but they're the tubes instead of like the flat bars. So if you look at marimba, you'll see it. I wish I could show you the. Well, let's see. Let me see. Maybe I can just send you this link here in the chat bar, and you can look at the link. There you go. If you click on that big long link that's in the chat bar, are you able to see the chat bar, Jared? Or are you on phone? Are you guys able to see it? Does it take it to the picture? Yeah. So those are marimbas. So it's very similar on top to a xylophone, but it has the different, you see the tubes. It's almost like looks kind of like what a pipe organ looks like, but in reverse. So that's what marimba is. Okay. So those are very traditional instruments. They have a real cool sound. It's a very soothing, soft sound. Okay. Zampoña. So Andino, remember what's Andino? The last sentence of the second to last paragraph. Instrumentos populares entre los indígenas andinos. Indígenas, indigenous. Andinos, what's Andinos? Andes, from the Andes. Okay. And remember, where are the Andes Mountains? From the top of South America all the way down to the very bottom in Chile and Argentina, right? So a lot of peoples tend to gather in mountains and along rivers, right? That's where life happens. Mountains and rivers. That's where plenty of supplies and food, and so that's where most people congregate. I mean, most original indigenous peoples found along rivers or in mountains. Okay, so Andinos, anybody coming from the Andes Mountains. Okay, Andinos. Okay. So I will put up our Hangout. What's today's date? 4/18. Oh. So I'll give you guys the link to our Hangout. Copy, paste. Okay, so there's our Hangout link. Oh, it didn't separate itself. Okay, just know that it's the one on the bottom, not on the one on the top. Were you guys able to open that link I put for to see the marimbas? Sounds like it should be some kind of drums or something. What are maracas?
Big rattles.
Yeah, big rattles. That's a good way to put it. And they're usually made out of gourds, dried gourds. And sometimes what makes the noise inside is the seeds from the gourds themselves. Okay. So yeah, but big rattles, like Jared said. Big rattles. Yeah, adult excuse to play with baby rattles. So they're kind of more a rhythm instrument, right? It's not key specific, more of a rhythm instrument. Okay. And then last, okay. Página 284. 284. Domingo, día 18 de febrero. Maybe I'll hold on to that one. Yeah, I'll hold on to that one for class next week. Okay, so let's look at página 286. And then if you'll join me on the Google Doc that I shared with you there. Excuse me. Join the Google Doc there. Everybody see the link to it in the Hangout. Jared, are you able to see the links, or do I need to send them to you in a different format?
It's not up right now. All I have is I just have the Google Hangout link. I don't have the Google Doc link though.
Okay, so let's see. You should see. Did that come to you then?
Let's see.
Oh, I didn't share it with you. That's why. Duh. Okay. I'll do that. I'll answer that. Open sharing settings. Forgot to share it with you guys. Sorry. There we go. Add more people. Jared. Okay. Eddie. Avery. Emma. Rachel. Who else? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who am I forgetting? I don't know. Anyways, I'll share with you. Okay. Now if you go back out and go back in, you should be able to access it. Okay. So we'll do, let's look at, this is review for the chapter. So identify, numero uno. Identify the objects in that picture. So number 1, Jared, number 2, Addie, and number 3, Sydney. Let's go ahead and write on register 1. Okay. All right, what page it is on the top. Page 284, 286. So just go ahead and type
Which one do I have?
Number 1,
Okay.
I think. Adding number 2. And so give me more description. Regalo for what, Sydney? Es un regalo for what? Most likely a birthday, right? So museo, muy bien. What kind of museo, Jared? Que museo de arte, muy bien. And what do you see hanging on the walls? El estudio de arte o por el arte, muy bien. De arte está bien. El estudio de arte, so what do you see in that studio? Un artista, ¿sí? ¿Es pintor? Is a painter? Maybe so. Looks like a well-used art studio. Okay. Museo de Artes, regalo de cumpleaños, muy bien. Regalo de cumpleaños, okay. Then what's the movie showing in number 4? El Señor de los Anillos? Lord of the Rings, right? El Señor de los Anillos? Las dos torres? I think, there's not the name of a movie, Two Towers, is there? I think maybe it's saying that it's showing in both.
No, it's the second one. That's the second Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers.
The Two Towers, gotcha. So that's the subtitle. That's the second half of the title, the Two Towers. Okay, gotcha. Because I'm like, oh no, I'm not familiar. I'm glad you helped me out there because I'm clueless. I very rarely watch a movie, and I don't know. I think I've seen part of one of the series, but yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about it. What's going on in picture 5? Un concierto, ¿sí? Where is this concert? Or what is the nationality of these people in this concert? There's a couple of things that give away what nationality they are.
Are they Mexican?
No, and they're not American. That looks American. Looks like American, but no es.
I should start guessing. It's not Argentina.
What is that flag down there that you see? Of course, the congas are actually dressed out in their flag too. But what is that actual flag being flown there?
I'm trying to remember. I know it's not Argentina. It's not Brazil.
Es puertorriqueño. Puerto Rico.
It's Puerto Rico. Oh yeah, because
Puerto Rican flag right there.
that makes
See.
sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, doesn't it? Because it's close to American, so we got stars and stripes. And I don't know this, so it looks like there's is that just one star on the flag? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Es la bandera, the flag, la bandera de Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. So they're not really their own country, but they have their own government and they have their own pride, their own sense of nationality. In fact, I read something, Zika, the Zika virus, and you know how it affects pregnant women. And tourism is a big thing in Puerto Rico. It's a huge, that's probably their main form of commerce, economy, is tourism. And so they had like 3,500 women affected by the Zika virus while they were pregnant. And they said that they've only had like 15 births of babies actually affected by it that were born with it. Whereas in the United States, we had 1,500 women affected by it, and we had like 55 births where the kids were actually affected, had abnormalities from the Zika virus, and so they're misreporting their levels of the Zika virus and the affected cases. Why? Why would a country do that? Why would they misrepresent something like that? Because their commerce is dependent upon it, right? So they don't want to scare people away that they've actually had 300 births of children. So generally, I mean, usually their heads are small and misshapen. Babies that have been affected by the Zika virus. It was a big thing. Even here in the United States, like I said, we had like 33 confirmed Zika babies. I think they call them Zika babies that were actually affected by. Okay, let's look at ejercicio 2. It says corrige, correct. Corregir is to correct. So it says correct the sentences. Jared 6, Addie 7, Sydney 8. So you got to figure out what the mistake is and correct it to make it a true sentence. All of them at this point are false, but with a change or two can be made correct. So we'll do number 9 together. It says, ellos oyeron una exposición de arte. It says they heard an exposition of art, an art exposition. So obviously they didn't hear it. They did what? They saw, vieron. Vieron una exposición de arte. If you just type it, it'll probably give you the correction, Jared. Yeah, there you go. I forgot to put them at the top. Sorry about that. Muy bien. En un cine or en el cine. Muy bien. Okay. Then take 10, Jared, 11, Addie, and 12, Sydney. Okay, so hay velas. Gotta get your verb in there. Addie. Hay velas en la torta, muy bien. Y no hay nada en la mochila. Muy bien, no hay nada en la mochila, perfecto. Vieron una estatua en el museo, perfecto. Okay, está bien, muy bien, perfecto. Okay, so just look, and I didn't review it with you guys, but 277, the verbs oír and leer, some irregularities in the present tense. not as many irregulars in the past tense, but oír, to listen, to hear, and leer, to read. Okay, so just don't forget those. And ver is one of those irregular verbs too, on page 274. Brindar, to give, to see. Okay, so I will get the homework posted later today, and you guys can work on that. Muchas gracias por estar aquí hoy. Thanks for being here today. Hopefully you're the better for it. And maybe next week we can have sound for you, Adi. We can hear you read. Okay, muchas gracias. Hasta martes. Hasta martes. Adiós.
Adios.